There's a video going around of you kind of yelling into your jersey right after you left the court last night. What was going through your mind at that point?
Obviously happy to get the win. It was a tough game all the way around. And, you know, when you go through that kind of competitive experience for 48 minutes, it's a sense of relief walking off the floor with a win. Obviously, I always say I'm my biggest critic and would have loved to made a couple more shots earlier in the game and things like that. So sometimes you have to get rid of those thoughts and understand that there's another opportunity on Friday to rectify that. But you know, we're walking off the floor up 3-0, having won a game on the road, and definitely a sense of relief and just getting those emotions out.
Is that a conscious decision you've made at some point, that when you need to let those emotions out, to do it after the game, before you get in here with us, like that's the right time, or is that just when it happened to come out last night?
I've never thought to walk up here on the podium and just yell. So, nah, I never had that impulse. But usually, like I said, when you're in that pressure type environment on the court and there's 20,000 fans screaming at you for 2.5 hours. When you walk off the court and you're in the tunnel, walking in the locker room, there's a little time to decompress a little bit. It might come out a bunch of different ways. But yesterday, I just wanted to just yell and get it over with.
There wasn't much said by either of you. Do you ever look back now and wish that you still had Dwyane?
Well, absolutely. I mean, listen, from not only from a brotherhood aspect and what we know about one another, but just and also from an experience, you know, factor. I believe that you know, he would have been very, very good for us in the postseason. You know, he's a guy who's kind of built for the postseason at this point in his career, who lives for the moment. So you definitely think about that. And it seems so long ago that he was even a part of this ball club, you know. But I definitely think about it from time to time.
Is it to get close and find yourself down 3-0?
It's definitely tough, but like you said, you know, we got a blueprint, and we definitely watched what Houston did. We just had mental breakdowns, a couple mishaps where with this team, like I've said from day one, you know, they capitalize on teams' screw-ups. So we got to find a way in the fourth quarter to limit that, whether guys are fatigued or whatever. You know, you got to keep the brain working, and then you have to dig deep, because this team, in order to beat them, you got to have a lot of willpower, and it'll take a lot of energy, and you got to be able to find it and wherever you got to take it from, whether your spirit or your stomach, you got to bring it out and be able to do it. We know the situation; it's either win or go home, so we got to leave it all out there and represent and do it for our fans.
What can you take from you guys coming back from 3-1 a couple of years ago that can help you in this situation, you feel like?
I mean, it's only 4 guys that have been in that situation, so obviously we just take it one game at a time, and that's how you got to view it. One game at a time, leave it all out there, and live with the results. So if we can do that and put ourselves in position like we did yesterday and pull out a W and keep this series going longer, that's what we can ask for. That's all we can ask for.
Tristan.
First faced Kevin on this stage back in 2012. I think he was 23 at the time. You guys beat him 4-1. But I was wondering, did you leave that series at all really thinking, like, you know, that guy is going to be a roadblock down the line, really on this stage a lot?
Yeah. I thought it would be in OKC. I thought we would have to face him for a while. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, who wouldn't see that?
Do you remember anything specifically in that series, though, that he showed you? I mean, obviously he was already a good player to that point. But.
I mean, in that series, I mean, he didn't. I don't know. I mean, it's Kevin Durant at 23. I mean, it's Kevin Durant at 18. It's Kevin Durant at 20, 21, 22. There's nothing that Kevin Durant had to show me at 23 that would make me be like, oh, years from now that he would. Nah, Kevin Durant was great at 23. Obviously, as you get older and older, your game gets more and more seasoned. But, I mean, everyone knew that. I mean, that's Kevin Durant. So it's not like you would think that he'll fizzle out. I mean, you knew he was built for greatness. I mean, from the time that he was drafted. I mean, everybody knew that besides Portland, I guess.
Kevin, Paul Antunes, ESPN Brazil. With the way LeBron James been playing in the postseason, lots been said about him maybe even winning the MVP of the finals, even if his team loses. What's your perspective on that, on maybe a losing team having the MVP?
I really don't have one on that, actually. I'm sure LeBron would.
If you had a vote,
I'm sure LeBron wouldn't accept that. I mean, he's a winner. You know what I'm saying? So I don't think he's a winner. I don't look at him as a guy that would be okay with that. But I just want to. I don't know. I don't even know how to answer that one.
Robert. In your career, LeBron, this started with the Celtics getting Kevin Garnett and Ray Allen. And then you go to Miami with D. Wade and Chris to try to take those guys out. And you come back here with Kyrie and Kevin, and the next thing you know, the Warriors have Kevin Durant. How do you view that dynamic, that where players, superstars in this league, are able to kind of control their own destiny to some degree? Or is there a level of disappointment, having now been maybe on the other side of that a little bit, that you put in all this work to put a team together and build it a certain way and put in all the work, and someone just comes along and puts something else together that might be better?
Yeah. I mean, that's the challenge. I mean, that's the challenge in this league, and I think every GM and every president and every coaching staff is trying to figure out a way how they can, make up the right mashup to compete for a championship and win a championship. So, like you said before, I felt like my first stint here, I just didn't have the level of talent to compete versus the best teams in the NBA, let alone just Boston. When you looked at Rondo and KG and Paul and Ray. You knew there were great basketball players, but not only great basketball players. You've seen their minds were in it too when you were playing them. They were calling out sets. Rondo, Rondo was calling out sets every time you come down, and you're like, okay, this is bigger than basketball. So not only do you have to have the talent, you got to have the minds as well. So, I knew that my talent level here in Cleveland couldn't succeed getting past the Boston, getting past the San Antonios of the league, and whatever the case may be. So. I played with D. Wade. I played with Bosh. In the Olympics, I knew D. Wade for years. I knew their minds. I knew, how they thought the game more than just playing the game. Obviously, we all knew their talent, but I knew their minds as well. So, I linked up with them. We went to Miami, got some other great minds, and Mike Miller, and UD is a great mind, but also a competitor and guys that were talent. So, you build that talent. So. That's what you want to try to do, and then you come here, and I knew Kyrie having the talent. I want to try to build his mind up to try to fast track his mind, because I feel like in order to win, you got to have talent, but you got to be very cerebral too. I mean, there's so many. Listen, we're all NBA players. Everybody know how to put the ball in the hoop, but who can think throughout the course of the game? And this is so challenging for me to sit up here and say, because of people who really don't know the game, don't really know what I'm talking about. They just think that you just go out and like, oh, LeBron, you're bigger and faster and stronger than everybody. You should drive every single time, and you should dunk every single play, and you should never get tired. Never. Like it's a video game, and you went on the options, and you turned down fatigue all the way to 0 and injuries all the way down to 0. So we come back here, and we get the minds, and we build a championship team, and then Golden State, because of Steph's injuries early on in his career and his contract situation, and then them drafting Draymond and drafting Clay, and them being under the contracts they were in, allowed their franchise to go out to get KD. And so they win a championship, and then we play them, and we come back from 3-1, and we beat them. But that was the best regular season, probably the best team I had ever played against. They go 73-9, and then you add one of the best players that the NBA has ever seen. So now everyone's trying to figure that out. How do you put together a group of talent, but also a group of minds as well, to be able to compete with Golden State, to be able to compete for a championship? So that's what GMs and presidents and certain players, it's not every player. Every player does not want to, it's sad to say, but every player don't want to compete for a championship and be in a position where every possession is pressure. you got to follow up. It looks like.
You mentioned in your first part of your answer, when you were here the first time, you came to the conclusion you didn't have enough. I'm not trying to get you to say anything negative about anybody, but how do you feel now?
You actually are trying to get me to say something?
I don't know what your answer is.
Listen, at the end of the day, I'm living in the moment now. I went back for your question. We've had an opportunity to win 2 of these games in this 3-game series so far, and we haven't come up with it. Obviously, from a talent perspective, if you look at Golden State, from their top 5 best players to our top 5 players, you would say that they're stacked better than us. I mean, let's just speak truth. Kevin Durant, and you got 2 guys with MVPs on their team, and then you got a guy in Clay who could easily be on a team and carry a team, score 40 in a quarter before, and then you have Draymond, who's arguably one of the best defenders and minds that we have in our game. So you have that crew, and then you add on a Finals MVP coming off the bench, a #1 pick in Livingston, and an All-Star in David West, and whatever case may be. So they have a lot of talent. We have a lot of talent as well, but we've been in a position where we've could win 2 out of these 3 games. So what do we have to do? Is it we have to make more shots? Is it we have to have our minds into it a little bit more? Is it, if there's a ball on the ground we can't reach for it, you got to dive for it? When you're playing, like I stated last night, or like 12 hours ago, was it 12 hours ago? Like the room for error versus a team like this is slim to none. And I think I said last night, it's like playing the Patriots, it's like playing San Antonio. The room for error is slim to none. And when you make mistakes, they make you pay because they're already more talented than you are. But they also have the minds behind it too, and they also have the championship DNA. So,
thank you, LeBron.
One Barrier News Group, LeBron was talking about how the challenge around the league is not only to find a group of guys as skilled as the Warriors, but as intelligent as the Warriors. Is intelligence kind of a less appreciated aspect in a locker room? And what's it like being in the Warriors locker room in terms of everybody's collective IQ?
I think as basketball players, we should all be offended if intelligence isn't the first thing you think about when you're looking at basketball players. I compare us to musicians, I compare us to artists, to architects, to surgeons, I compare us to the highest at any field because what we do is hard. We're one percenters in the world, so when you walk into any locker room in the NBA, I expect you to think that all of these guys are intelligent at what they do, and I think that's a underrated trait from somebody outside of the league, from outside of the locker rooms, because they don't realize how hard the game is, I think, sometimes. But, it's hard to find intelligence, character, unselfishness all at the same time. And that's rare in any profession, I think.
Thank you, Kevin.
Going head-to-head on the biggest stage. It really is shocking, and when you see the talent. And, I was telling our staff after the game last night, I played in 5 finals. I don't think I ever saw anybody make a 30-foot shot in the middle of the game, much less 4 of them, which KD did last night, I believe, and which Steph did multiple times the game before, which LeBron did multiple times in game 1. The talent level right now, I think, is at an all-time high in the league. It's very different. You don't have the aircraft carriers. You don't have Shaq and Patrick Ewing and Hakeem. But the skill level on the perimeter is so shocking. And, sometimes I try to picture myself playing in the finals now. 20 years ago, I survived. It was tough, but I survived, and I could find guys to guard. I can only imagine right now, LeBron would be pointing right at me, saying, "Come on up. We're gonna set a screen with you." And it's gotten so tough. You have to have so much versatility and size and speed and strength to be able to survive on the floor. because of this incredible skill level, because these guys can make shots from 30, 35 feet without blinking. And now you got to go out there and pick them up, and now they're driving by you, and they got 4 3-point shooters in many times, or in many cases, but usually at least 2 3-point shooters, sometimes 3 or 4 surrounding them. So guarding and playing defense today is the most difficult it's ever been.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
Every competition, I love to compete, and you know, at the end of the day, no matter win, lose, or draw, you know, being a part of the, you know, the biggest stage in our sport is something that I've always loved and never, you know, taken for granted. So, you know, my love of the game continues to get, you know, bigger and bigger and greater, and hopefully my game and my health can continue to be at a level it is today for, you know, for some years to come.
Ramona on the back left.
Hi, Ramona Shelburne, ESPN. The Kevin Love said after game one that you've said to him, this is the best you've ever felt. You've obviously played in every game. How much of a source of pride is that to you to have played this many games and at this level? And also, is this the best you've ever felt physically?
I think in the simple fact that, you know, to be available to my teammates every single night and them knowing that I will be in uniform, that's the pride factor right there that I don't take for granted, and that's something I take a lot of pride on, just working my body every single day, no matter if it's a win or if it's a loss, no matter if we're getting in at 3 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning, just waking up that next day and doing something, you know, either from a treatment side or lifting or conditioning or shooting, and just preparing myself for the long journey. You know, I just feel like I'm in a great groove right now as far as my career, as far as my body, knowing, you know, what I need to do to be in the best possible shape. And like I stated, you know, I said this at one point throughout this playoff run that I had a walk-off with Cassidy Hubbard after a game, and I told her it's the best I felt, you know, in my career, and she kind of gave me one of those Cassidy looks, and you know, I got some response from that, but I was very truthful about it, and you know, I still feel good, even, you know, with turning my ankle last night, with getting a finger jammed into my eye, and taking the bumps and bruises and grinds throughout this playoff series. I still feel like I'm excited to put on the uniform tomorrow. So, yeah.
As a quick follow-up on the ankle, the TV cameras kind of caught you like turning it, like putting it back into place or something like that. Did you like fix your ankle on the court?
I don't. I'm a little weird. That's all. It's a little weird.